I was having crazy fruit and crazy things happen with my art. And you're just like, no, it's probably...
Do you think that's a spirit of religion that attaches to us?
Something about it, I was like, I'm enjoying this too much. This has got to be wrong.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
well, I think we get that way.
insane.
Like, I like this too much. It must not be God. It's got to be a little like painful. It's got to be difficult.
In the church right now, it feels like there is this high cool factor.
Yeah.
But sometimes the cool factor is minus the presence.
Yeah.
So you get to the farm and you ain't got the cool factor.
There's full-on deliverance happening around the tent. You're in the heat of the sun. There's nothing pretty about it. And then you went into a dark, really cool lights. Everybody's got their coffee. And they're just standing watching the intimacy.
What is the one thing that you can say, this is what the church is missing?
It's hard to boil it down to one thing. I guess if I had to, I'd say it's just...
Hey everybody, this is Rita Springer. Welcome back, 2026. Here we go into a new year to the Rita Springer podcast and another episode of Worship is My Weapon. I love these kind of podcasts because I don't just want to pull on people or artists that you guys are really familiar with. I really want to go after artists that are doing something different, that may have started out and are worship leaders or whatever, but that are doing something really creative. And their stories actually fascinate me. And today's story is one of those stories. Scotty Coates is here with us. And I'm trying to remember, Scotty, I was trying to remember the year.
It must have been like 2010, I think.
Because I was visiting a church in Raleigh. Was it when I was visiting them every week?
Yeah.
Or once a month?
I think
or
it was
something?
like every other week or something.
Yeah, every other week. I think it was twice a month. They'd lost their worship leader.
Yeah.
And so I came down, I was living in Charlotte at the time, and I would drive down to Raleigh and I would just lead worship. And was it a night or was it a morning?
Yeah, I think it was a night thing that I went to.
Okay. So you came to this night thing. I have no idea who you were.
Yeah. I didn't even go to that church, by the way.
You didn't go to the church. You were kind of in a struggle in your life.
I was trying to go get Mexican food. So I just agreed to go to the church service with my mom.
Well, that's right, because your mom went to that church.
Yeah.
And I was up there playing and I looked out and the Lord started to just hound me with your face. And he just started talking to me about you. And I just, at the end of it, gave you a word. I don't even remember the full word.
Yeah.
But like, do you remember any of that?
No, I remember it. I mean, I've told this story like at this point around the world. Because it's the origin story of how I met the Lord. But no, you pulled me aside and asked if you could pray for me. I had never experienced that.
Yeah.
So I went away like from the church when you took me off like by the stage. Everybody was leaving. Like they already dismissed the whole room.
Yeah.
And then I did like the church clasp. It's like
the nice hands.
The hands like a pallbearer. You had like a whole prophetic word, and it was about worship and young people, which that's what we do now with missions and young people. And then you actually talked about creativity and art and all that too. Wow. Yeah. And then I hit the floor and that was a wrap.
Wow. That's one thing I love about the prophetic is that people come up to me a lot in different events and say, oh, you gave me a word once. I couldn't for the life remember the people or the words. Yeah. But it's almost like a boomerang. I call the true prophetic a boomerang when it comes back to you and you're like, really? And then it encourages your soul that you're hearing from the Lord. But you were one of the specific ones because that didn't happen all the time. Because I felt like I remember the Lord saying, don't let him leave without telling him. He can't leave this building without telling him. Yeah. And it was kind of a marker for you that night.
Oh, yeah.
Because you ended up being the worship leader of that church.
I ended up being the worship pastor of that church for almost 7 years.
That's crazy.
I was just a ball on the ground, just shaking, crying, an encounter with the Lord for the first time, an encounter with God.
Yeah.
And I guess you had said something to the pastors about that's your worship leader.
Yeah.
At the time, I was in a touring metal band, in like a hardcore band. So it was a hard left turn on every front.
And you were raised primarily by a single mom, right?
Yeah. My mom married my dad when I was 10.
Okay.
Yeah, but my biological dad died when I was 6 months old, when I was a baby. So and he was 19. So
wow.
Yeah.
Well, so you kind of had a rough beginning.
Yeah, kind of an interesting beginning. Teenage mom. Feel like you're kind of growing up together.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Is your mom still in Charlotte? I mean, in Raleigh?
No, she's still in Raleigh.
And still in Raleigh.
Yeah.
She didn't still go to that church, does she?
I don't know where she's at right now.
Okay.
Yeah, she does sometimes, and then she has friends at different churches. She's like a social butterfly, so she pops up at different places. Yeah.
Okay, so can you walk us through, because what you're doing now is pretty insane. You and we bumped into each other at Starbucks down the street, and I was shocked by you telling me this, because you went from that church to YWAM.
Yeah.
Like Kona. You left Raleigh and went and lived in Kona for years.
Yeah.
Kind of growing up a culture there. Can you just kind of walk us through that experience? What led you into worship leading? And then you didn't lay down worship leading, but you're doing something else right now that's pretty insane.
Yeah. Yeah. In 2017, we moved to Kona, Hawaii. And
you got married to Casey, your wife.
Yeah, we got married. We have 4 kids now. We got married in 2012 and then met each other at that church where I was the worship leader at. A lot of good things happened there. And then we moved to Kona, Hawaii, did a mission school with something called Fire and Fragrance based there in Kona.
Wow.
And then
traveled. Is that only out of the Kona YWAM?
No, there's bases all over the place. There's in
I know,
South
but is that particular Fire and Fragrance, is that only done out of Kona?
No, there's one. So we actually, I don't want to get ahead, but we moved here to plant one here. So there's one in Nashville now too, in downtown. But there's one in South Africa. There's one, and there's all around the world. There's different bases of Fire and Fragrance. And then Circuit Riders came out of Fire and Fragrance as like a baby out of that, with an emphasis on universities, college campuses. Yeah, so it's all like a similar DNA where it all came out of. It was all started by Andy Bird and Amy Ward and friends. And so we were with them. We were living in Kona, traveling, doing worship, and then we moved back in 2019. So we were only there for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And we did something called Barn Burners, where we traveled all around rural America with a trailer full of sound of equipment and some worship leaders and just fiery young people. And we went to rural places all around America and would just set up kind of like a rural Circuit Riders and just set up in farms, fields, barns with just work lights, generators, and just do back-to-back nights of worship, encounter, activation, just in the middle of nowhere, which is the majority of America. Yeah. You know? So
how did you get the word out that you guys were doing something like that?
It was literally just word of mouth. It was insane. Actually, I put it out there that we were going to do it. Someone in Nashville, of all places, caught wind of it and then connected us with Ricky Skaggs. And then Ricky made us a bunch of videos. He's like, as like the spokesperson for rural America. It was awesome. You know, he's like bluegrass legend. And he put it out there like, hey, these guys are barn burners. They want to come to your area. They're believing for a revival that's going to come from the outside in to city centers from the outside. And so that's what started that whole thing. And kind of from there, it was like word of mouth and super organic.
Yeah. But was that amazing? Because
that was
it was
awesome.
Super organic?
It's amazing and messy and beautiful. But I live for that stuff. Like in Kona, you know, all of our classes were in a tent and it was hot and stinky and it was on a goat farm. Like I don't know. I don't know if I'm a glutton for punishment or what, but I love that stuff. So the barn burner stuff is just raw as it gets, you know, and people that won't go to a conference or go to a church will come to a farm. They'll come out to somebody's land that they know, you know, come out to a family property. So you get all kinds of people that would not go to some fancy conference but are hungry.
Hey, you guys, I just want to thank Amazing Life Foundation for making what I do here on this podcast possible. They are my rally team, my biggest supporters. Without Amazing Life, this podcast would not be coming to you. They've just got this insane team of editors. I've just had the best of the best. And I want to just give them a shout out. There's a lot of beautiful things that are coming out of Amazing Life Foundation. And I want you to stay tuned for some of those things. But I just want to shout out to them and thank them for making this podcast possible and bringing this podcast to you every Wednesday and letting me do what I love to do. you kind of start out, did you have like a desire to do any kind of Christian music? Because if you were in a metal band, you were like, that wasn't on your radar.
No, I've always just been like a creative in general.
Yeah.
I mean, art, I started doing art before music even came. I started, just...
Like drawing?
Yeah, I used to do like family portraits for people, just graphite and charcoal and stuff in high school. And then when I got saved, when I gave my life to Jesus, I didn't really see where that fit into Christianity because I didn't see any of that stuff in the church or anything.
Right.
And so but I did play music, and it's, that was what God had for me in that season.
Yeah.
I could say as soon as we see somebody with some talent in singing or playing, we come join the worship team,
Right, right.
But that really was what I was supposed to do, for that season. But yeah, no, I didn't have a desire to do Christian music. I even dialogued with you like right after that moment, like right after I met the Lord. I'm like, I don't know if you remember, it was a text. I was like, I don't want to get stuck. I said, I don't want to get stuck inside of a church somewhere.
Yeah.
And you gave me great advice at that moment. You were like, do you really think you're ready for that? Like, just take off, all by yourself. And I stood there like in my early 20s looking at my phone. I was like, probably not. That's all I said. So
yeah, sometimes that 7 years can be grounding.
Yeah, serving somebody else's vision.
Yeah,
it's super important. I would probably be if I just took off and just did my own thing. There's no telling. I probably wouldn't even be serving Jesus anymore.
Wow,
to be
just
honest.
because of the things in those years that you've seen.
Yeah, I mean, when I met you, I was converting a school bus to run off veggie oil with a friend of mine and going to travel the country.
You're pretty rogue.
Travel the country doing something called the Why Not Initiative, this whole YouTube idea or acts of kindness kind of thing, and then busking on street corners.
But there's still a generous and compassionate heart in there wanting to help people.
Yeah, but no undergirding. No, no discipleship. It would have just been wildness.
So the transition between having a staff position and leading a team, did you love that? Or was that hard for you?
Leading a team, it was weird. It's weird when you're like freshly saved and you're like 23 years old.
Right.
And then there's people on your team that are 40 years older than you.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was super good. It grew me as a leader.
Yeah.
Quickly.
Because you were just thrown into the fire.
Intense. It was like, it was at that time they were going into like a couple campuses and it was growing quick. So it was
and then you probably, the music was a little bit foreign to you because if you're a metal guy, you're not singing holy, holy, holy.
No. Yeah. It felt like really, repetitive.
Yeah.
At first, and then like, and even just simple things like playing an F chord. I remember playing on stage next to another guitarist and there was an F. This happened. Came up on there and I was like, how do you lie? We're in the moment. And I lean forward. I'm like, hey, how do you play an F? I'm yelling in his ear. And he's looking at me and he's like, are you kidding me? Because everything I played was linear. It was all single notes. I was never holding a whole chord and brushing it cowboy style. You know what I mean? Everything was linear. So I was like, what does that mean? Just F? Like, because I can't be one note. And because I was all self-taught.
Right.
And so, there was some funny. So the music was definitely the weirdest thing. I joke around and tell people all the time the weirdest thing was how sober everybody was in the church. I was used to people not really caring about you.
Right.
And there's actually a lot of freedom in that. You can just be creative and because nobody cares. And then you get in the church and everybody's staring at you and it's just you and the HVAC humming and you're like, okay, good morning.
Right. And in that particular room, you can hear that HVAC humming.
Yeah. But in the beauty of the whole like traveling the metal band is like if they didn't like your music, it was just middle fingers in the air and just told you to get off the stage, yelled at you. And, Christians, we get offended if people don't raise their hands.
Right.
And I'm like, guys, this is not that big a deal.
Yeah.
Like, they could be throwing stuff at us.
I mean, that's kind of cool, though, Scotty, that you had that coming in because because I've talked to so many people that don't have that coming in and they get wrapped up in trying to fight that thing every Sunday morning. And if you have that, it's almost like an asset to you as a leader. If you can kind of find the balance in, let me just give them what they need, but not not take their staring me down as if I'm doing something wrong. Because I think that's what a lot of leaders in the church, like young worship leaders, think. How do I get them to? I'm supposed to get them to respond.
Yeah. One of the things I think is like really difficult now because I work with young worship leaders constantly now, is that everything is cool now. Things weren't, when I came into it, it was not even cool to worship God anyways. So it's like you're starting from that place of like, this is just singing to God. If I wanted to be cool, I would go be like an artist somewhere doing other kinds of music. Yeah. But now there's such a subculture and everybody has, videos out and merch and all the things and language. And so now there's like young worship leaders coming up and all they've known is this is cool. So there's like immense pressure entering into it. Yeah. I left all the pressure to go into church where there's no pressure because this is not even cool anyways. Right. Like this is just to the Lord. This is where we can just be free. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so then you get to YWAM and YWAM's like crazy town.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. But did you feel like, oh, this is my van down by the river people?
100%. Especially when you're meeting in a farm and you're like, oh my gosh, that's my face. You got your face in the dirt, outside and you're just like praying and you're in full blown.
Well, you're a country boy anyway.
Yeah. And you can literally, there's like the sound of goats. You're right next to your head. And you're like, this is awesome. Wow. We're all covered in sweat, it's just beautiful.
Can you kind of describe for me, especially in the generational, excitement that you see, because there's this in the church right now, it feels like there is this high cool factor. Yeah. But sometimes the cool factor is minus the presence. Yeah. So you get to the farm and you ain't got the cool factor, but you sure got the presence. Yeah. Because there's something that is stripped away out there. What is the one thing or the one phrase that you found from being in the building to being in the field that you can say, this is what the church is missing? Yeah. This is what needs to be stripped.
It's hard to boil it down to one thing. I guess if I had to, I'd say it's just comfort. I think when you take comfort away, people engage. It's like when there's no more comforts. It was the strangest thing when we left Kona to go visit family on the mainland, and we went straight into a large church service, mega church, whatever. Like, it was the weirdest it was like cultural whiplash to go from that culture and then come in where it's like, and it's not even just that it's on a farm. It's these kids encountering God for the first time. Some of them breaking generational, curses. Like all this stuff is happening, and there's full on deliverance happening around the tent. You're in the heat of the sun. There's nothing pretty about it. And then you went into a dark, really cool lights. Everybody's got their coffee and they're just standing watching the intimacy. Yeah. Yeah. I was like, what is going on? And it's just so perfect. It's so comfortable. That there's nothing to lean into. There's nothing to bite onto. It's got the same aesthetics of a movie theater. You're here to watch this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Which is interesting because if comfort's what is missing in the farm, uncomfortable is what you feel in the building. Yeah. Because that's to go from that to that. And that's what I think someone like you is a little bit remarkable, because you don't have the background of high church. Yeah. And then you went to small church, or maybe there was like 1,000 people in something those like services, that, but the building wasn't huge, right? And you still knew people's names, and you still had potlucks and park lux, is what I used to always call them. But and then to go to YWAM, and then to go back to mega church, you really never experienced the mega church. Was there ever a point in your life that as a worship leader that you were like, oh, that's my goal? Or was that never on the table?
No, I never had a moment where, that was never on the table. It was actually like what I feared. So I would like watch it and be like, oh God, because I could see how just the heart of man is so fickle. Yeah. And I was like, you could easily just get into that world and be like, I'm just going to live here. Yeah. This is nice. Right. And it was like alluring in like not a good way, like a siren kind of call. But you knew that. I knew that. I never had a moment where I watched it. I was like, I want that. I think the moment where I was like, oh, this is what I'm made for as a worship leader is the first time I saw Jason Upton sitting halfway off of his piano stool, drunkenly tapping a note and just singing in the spirit, can barely hold himself up there.
Wow.
I saw that as barely a believer just coming in, and that made more sense to me than anything. Because I was like, if this God is real, he's the creator of all the cosmos, and he touches you, dust, things are going to get weird. And you're not going to be able to like fully handle it. So when I saw somebody fully yielded like that in worship, that was what I saw where I was like, that's what I'm made for. That's amazing.
Yeah, I think it's why I have so much respect for you, because so many worship leaders, especially guys, go the opposite direction. It's like, oh, here's the position. Now there's the platform, and there's the future of what I want to be. I don't really hear a lot of no, that's what I feared. Yeah, I wanted to stay where the reality was.
I think maybe it's because my dad passed away when I was a baby.
Yeah.
That the fragility and the finite nature of life is so real to me. Like I know how short life is.
Yeah.
And so everything is measured by that lens. So when I see that, the whatever you want to say, the high church stuff or whatever, I'm like, man, I could see how you could get lost in that for years, even if you were no longer called to it. It'd be really hard to leave that. Everything's set for you.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of attention. Does that make sense?
No,
I was just kind of like, I was like, that
me.
Could just suck you in forever. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think it's why I was like, I really want to interview Scotty, because the beginnings of your worship, you're a great worship leader. Like, being a great worship leader isn't your problem, but it's the journey that God took you that wasn't what most worship leaders are kind of set up for in the church, or set themselves up for, or that perhaps the bigger stages almost draw this kind of like, come to me, because this is the end game goal here.
Yeah.
And I'm finding, even when I go out still, that sometimes these smaller events, you still find the hungriest people.
Yeah.
And you can't be blinded by the bigger events when the hungriest people are usually in the smallest towns.
It's true.
And it brings you back to the reality of, oh, this is really about, are you willing to do what God's asking you to do in the moment, and to do it until you feel like there's a release to do it, which you kind of did. In fact, you and I were talking in the kitchen about, you said you kind of came to this place where you're like, I could keep doing what I'm doing, or I could and get stuck in it.
Yeah.
So how did you, like, when you're doing Fire and Fragrance, and you then from Kona, how long were you in Kona?
Just a couple years.
And then you move out here to start the Fire and Fragrance.
Yeah.
And you go all over farm hopping.
Farm hopping.
And then you come back here, like, where is there, because there's always a tension in us as worship leaders. No matter how young or old you are, you're going to feel the tension and the pull to kind of the what's next, or how do I continue? Or like I was talking about, sometimes my dilemma is God's hand on this?
Yes.
Because when I look at blessing, I see blessing sometimes a different way. It's like, God's not blessing this. His hand must not be on it. I'm out. And there's this constant tension to pull the plug and just be like, done skis, check off. and that's really difficult in ministry, because if the Lord isn't asking you to pull the plug, you got to stay in it and figure out why you're still in it. So where was that thing for you where you were like, I don't think this is what I need to be doing anymore?
Yeah. I mean, that's recent, because as of the first of this year, I'm full-time artist now. And so it's a new thing, but I think I associated myself so much for so many years with worship in the sense of music, worship leading.
Yeah.
It's hard sometimes to not envision yourself. I can see myself doing other things, but give yourself permission to think of it and not assume that it's sinful or assume that you're being disobedient. And so it's really hard. You can have all the evidence in the world. I was having crazy fruit and crazy things happen with my art, like breakout, weird stuff. And you're just like, no, it's probably, this is crazy.
But where does that come from, Scotty?
I don't, something about it. I was like, I'm enjoying this too much. This has got to be wrong.
Wow.
Like I'm enjoying, isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
well, I think we get that way.
insane.
Like I like this too much. It must not be God. It's got to be a little like painful. It's got to be difficult. I don't know how we get that way, but I swear that's a thing.
Do you think that's a spirit of religion that attaches to us?
That sounds about right. I think that's but literally it was like, this is so much in my element and so enjoyable and so sustainable and so fruitful. Something must be wrong.
What is that?
That's
like,
the
when
weirdest.
Did you like, are you leading worship and then doing art on the side? Did you start doing that? Because you said you kind of gave it up.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I started doing art in 2020. I started back in COVID. The old renaissance happened inside when everything got quiet. Yeah. And then the model of how we did things for a minute died, right?
Yeah.
The big C, the whole church. Like the model died for a minute. And then I had a minute to be reintroduced to myself. And I was like, oh man. So that's where this whole thing started. Yeah. I started breaking apart instruments and laying stuff out on the floor.
So that's, when you talk about art, you're not talking about drawing. You're talking about, you started seeing instruments.
Yeah.
And you took them apart.
Yeah. It started with, I was in 2020 to make some side income. I started producing for people and engineering and making albums for people. And in the studio space, I got frustrated by the lack of like just cool art for a studio. It was always like some guitar on fire on a poster in Walmart or something.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh. And in my mind, I was so into like the science and the nerdiness of like the science of sound itself. And like the like fullness.
Are you a frequency guy?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Fullness of left brain, right brain, all that's like. And so I started like, there's a way better way to do this. So I started just breaking apart, exploding pianos and organs. And I started
would you just like buy them on Facebook?
Yeah. Or people like give them away and I'd be like, hey, because it almost feels like a weird sacrifice. They're like, it's out of tune, whatever. I'm like, hey, just full disclosure. I'm going to fully break this apart. And they're like, wait, for real? And then there was like 9 out of 10 times or more than that, there's like genuine excitement. There was like, here's my number, here's my stuff. Can you please show me what you make? And then they usually say, I want first dibs on whatever you make. And I'm like, okay.
Wow.
And they're always like so down for it and so excited. Or they'll be like, this was my grandma's piano. Could you make something for all of our siblings? You know, because none of us play and it's just sitting here collecting dust. So now I get the opportunity to make these heirloom art pieces for the whole family that's on all their mantles in different states around the country. But it's from...
But how did you it's grassroots.
Yeah.
But how did you just decide, I think I want to do this more than I want to do worship? Is that a gradual kind of like crossover for you? And is there guilt attached to that side?
I think even in the worship world, in the songwriting world,
yes,
I was consistently frustrated because I was a creative and an artist. And a lot of it, you can kind of get in like this factory mindset, just like do the set list. It's another Sunday, do the set list. We got this thing. And you get in like this like thing. And a lot of times where I'd let myself go there and be myself of like, there's got to be a better way to do this or to sing this. Or what if we change this song to sound like this? And if that doesn't work in that system, people are like, no, it doesn't have to be like artistic. We're just trying to do this song. And so I think what I'm saying is over the years, I could see this like tension with everything I did where I tried to fully get out this need to create and develop something new. And that's not always needed or wanted. Sometimes it's just like, just get the job done.
Yeah.
And so, no, I don't.
Well, wait, hang on there, because I feel like there might be people that younger worship leaders too that are watching this, that because I talk a lot on the podcast about that whole spirit of creative expression.
Yeah.
And that we can't ignore it. It's there. And if you ignore those things, they're the Lord. The Lord is the Lord of all art and all, it can be completely contaminated by the devil, but he can't take credit for the art.
Yeah.
And yet a lot of young worship leading, songwriting, people in that position of desire and, I think this is what I want to be. They're suppressing something else while they're coming into what they think. And there is a massive tension in that.
Yeah.
Well, how would you talk to a young worship leader who's like dabbles in all kinds of different things, even like photography or graphic art or whatever, but pushes all that aside to do the one thing, but then feels like like you're saying, the church doesn't have art on the walls unless it's Christian art,
Right. Yeah.
How do you speak to that young person to almost like alleviate the tension by saying, man, if it's not going well in a songwrite, you don't have to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's essentially what you did. You were like, this isn't for me. Writing like that.
Writing like that. Like as to use the word machine, it sounds harsh. It sounds harsh, but I mean, like, just getting after it, song after song after song. I say to young people all the time, like, you can try to ignore it. That's what I did for years. You can try to ignore it. You can try to suppress it, but it's going to keep coming up and manifest because it's who you're meant to be. If you're meant to be a creative and you're meant to make and create. Even when I first learned guitar, I didn't want to learn other songs because my mindset was those are already created. God, isn't that crazy? It wasn't even like a pride thing. And of course, if I had a guitar teacher, they'd be like, well, you learn this to learn techniques.
Right.
Of course. But I mean, I got frustrated because I was like, that's already been made. There's something that's supposed to be made now. Wow. And there's like something with my hands I'm supposed to make. Like I was born this way or I have to make something.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to say you can try to suppress it for years, but it's going to keep coming up and frustrating you when you can't manifest it through whatever you're doing.
Right.
So you just have to be honest with yourself. Like, yes, we have to do jobs. Sometimes you got to drive Uber. Sometimes you got to work at Target. Right. You got to do whatever. But then you better have something. You better have something where you can be fully creative and get it out. Not only for you, but for everybody, for the benefit of everybody. Because you're going to be a much healthier person if you keep trying to suppress it.
But how do you do that as a father of 4 kids with a wife and you YWAMers, you're living on a wing and a prayer anyway. You know what I'm saying? You're living on donations.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when does that become frustrating in the process of hand to mouth?
Yeah.
Are you one of those guys that's like, oh man, I have testimony after testimony of how God provided for us? But I've heard more like, sometimes God will bring you down to the bare bones, bro.
Yeah.
You know what? And that's how he builds trust or whatever. But I've watched that even be my own tension. It's like, I don't want to do this anymore because it's so hard to make a living doing this.
Yeah.
How do you, where do you,
the YWAM thing is killing me because it's true. Wing and a prayer. We've been living, people say living on faith. We're all living on faith.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
But you guys are really living on faith.
But we've been living that way since 2016. So this is 10 years now and so.
Wow.
Yeah. And I am one of those guys that has crazy checks in the mail, stories and just insane.
Would you say you have just big faith?
I don't know. I feel I guess we have big faith. Maybe I'm try to be childlike as much as possible. I try to cling on to childlikeness. Yeah. With everything within me. So then I have childlike faith. So it is by nature, it's big faith. And a lot of trust and a lot of coziness with lack, which is crazy. Wow. So I'm comfortable. Made friends with lack. I'm the guy that loves, being in the dust, in the farm, on the dirt, and then if something breaks out and there's a ton of finances all of a sudden, that's cool too, but nothing, I don't feel any different. It's the same. Wow. And if it goes back to 0, it'll still be a great day. The sun's coming out. It's going to be amazing. So wow. If you can actually I know it sounds insane, but that is the ultimate hack. If there's no greater joy to you than just being a friend of God, then the finances come and go. It's currency for a reason. It's supposed to move.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't, I know that's not, people are gonna be like, oh, you got a spirit of poverty, brother, this. And I'm like, well, no, I'm just saying, I'm just like Paul, like I've learned to be good with and without, and then,
Wow.
yeah, but we have never gone without. We've moved many times into homes and stuff with no money. And then the
Yeah.
money started coming after we did, we've never bought a car. All of our cars have always been given to us.
Wow.
I have a story for each one. People in some worship service across the country, and God says to give their car to the Coates family in North Carolina.
Wow.
So just, yeah, I'm one of those guys. Yeah. With all the weird stories.
Hey, a little segue here to just remind those of you who really love what the podcast is carrying, love what I do. You know that I mentor, you know that I work with creative and artists. We are in some exciting things this year with my nonprofit, Wearing Justice, but I can't do a lot of these things unless I have help and donations. We are a charitable organization, a nonprofit, and it's Christian education based. And if you are out there and you love to donate to things that not just inspire people, but heal people while people are being inspired, would you consider donating to my nonprofit, Wearing Justice? If you just click this QR code that you're seeing on the screen, you can donate and give any amount of donation. It was greatly appreciated. I would so appreciate it because I can keep doing what I feel like God's called me to do and really keep believing in artists everywhere and how God is using the arts to heal people's heart. And I love that. I just love what I do. I want to keep this up, but I need your help to do it. So would you consider today making a donation to Wearing Justice and help keep this all up and running? What happens to you when you make the art? Is there a similar thing that happens to you in that happened to you on stage singing a song?
That's a great question. Yes, I mean, especially is when, I always like curiosity lead the way. It's the childlikeness in me. I try to stay curious. But if it's working with somebody, like a commissioned art piece, like I did one recently for a family out here in Brentwood, and they had this huge space in their house, and it, like this huge, like 10 foot by 10 foot, like cutout in their house. And it was perfect spot for art, had like lights on it. And like, we want something for this space. It's like, okay. And they're like, whatever you think, just like be free and think about it. And I was like, all right. So I went away and I prayed and I started drawing out concepts that would be cool. I asked them about their goals. Like, what do you want? What do you want people to feel when they walk into your house? What do you want? Then I have a list of questions I go through. And then the weirdest thing happened. I did some things that might be more normal to the Christian eye. And then I usually try to give 3 designs to start choosing from. That third design was the weirdest because I saw lungs in my head. Just 2.
And which instrument are you working with?
I never start from that.
Okay.
Yeah. I never start. This sounds really. I never start with the mindset of what's possible. I try to completely see something I've never seen and then reverse engineer and figure out how to now make it possible. Wow. So I like that pressure. So I like to say, like, this is what I'm seeing. We can do it. And then they're like, okay. And then I go home and I'm like, now I got to figure out how to do this. So I said, this is going to be the weirdest thing. I'm the most hesitant. I said, I'm the least confident in this one. And I flipped my sketchbook to these lungs and they like lose it. And they're like, that's it. That's the one. And I was like, what do you mean? And they start bringing me their phones and they have screenshot after screenshot in their phone of pictures of lungs.
Like actual lungs?
Like human lungs, and like, because they had a son whose lungs were not developing in the womb. And so they were praying and they were singing the Great Are You, Lord, all sons and daughters. It's your breath in our lungs. They were singing that all the time in their house, declaring life over the womb and over his lungs to develop. And he did. He's a complete miracle child. Wow. Like, he was born at like 29 weeks. It was like a medical miracle. Wow. And so anyways, lungs are a huge thing. To have them all in their phone in these pictures. Even things were like, look how these lights went up this building. Doesn't look like lungs. Like little things like that they had saved. And so I was like, oh my gosh. And so they're like, whatever it is, that's got to be it. And so now they have these 6 foot tall, each one set of lungs that glow from the inside out, made out of these drum parts and scripture and goose feathers and it's suspended by a clear cable, so it looks like it's just levitating there, and the light pulses, so it looks like there's God's breathing light in and out of the
Oh my
lungs.
gosh.
Because I had a picture of God laughing into their son's lungs, and as he was laughing into them, it was building the lungs out. And his name is John Isaac, which means son of laughter.
Wow.
So all that came later, but that's the picture I saw.
So for you, that process is like fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah.
It almost feels like in that process for you, it's like you're touching the hem in a sense.
Yeah.
Does it like always come like that?
If I'm in a place where I'm meeting with somebody, and I love people. And so if I'm meeting with somebody, I will start to see textures in my head. I'll start to smell certain scents, certain smells. I'll start to see certain images, and I'll see shapes and feel like form in my head as I'm talking to them. And I just take all that information later and translate it into a sketchbook. And all I can say is I've been doing this now, and God just keeps showing off, because these moments keep happening where people are like, oh my gosh, how did you know that?
And you're drawing. Are you drawing the instrument that you've got in your head while you're making the drawing? Or are you just drawing what you see, and then you look at that piece of art and say, oh, how am I going to put a guitar to that?
Yeah. No, I spend a lot of time literally standing still with my eyes closed like this. And I just practice seeing, getting better and better and better at seeing. Because so much of art is, can you see it first? So I literally will just close my eyes and practice being able to see it better. And then it's like I go straight from that moment, almost with eyes closed in a way, and start drawing what I'm seeing. And then a lot of times I'll sit with it for a while and try to make the connection of what instrument is begging to be sung through this. You know what I mean? What instrument would make the most sense? You know? So anyways, that's kind of how it happened. So for those lungs, I took the rings from drum heads, cut the skins off the drum heads, and squished them down, like larger toms to smaller toms, and it started to make this cone-like shape of the human lung. And that was kind of like the armature that was underneath it all.
And then what did you do for the lungs
in between?
itself?
It was like mache, using just scripture, because it's your breath in our lungs. I had that playing in my head the whole time. So I was picturing all scriptures God breathed. Right. So I took the breath of God and filled the lungs up with all that. And each one I do ends up coming with a poem. So I will I'll start to hear one sentence at a time. So that piece took maybe 6 weeks to 2 months. And I would hear a sentence. Every few days I'd hear something. I'd hear a sentence, because it started with me hearing lungs laced in light and laughter is what I heard. Yeah. And it made me stop working. I was putting feathers on it. And I stopped working, and I was like, lungs laced. And I wrote it down on my phone. And it started this process, and it fully came together in a whole poem. They have on a placard now in the house, but I knew that it was supposed to be laced in light all throughout it. So it has these LEDs. And then what were the feathers? It's from Psalm 91. The Lord will cover you in his feathers. So it's on my website. You can see the poem, because it ended up coming in. Like, I'm covered by these pinions. Like, there's another word for feathers. Yes. I'm covered by these pinions, safe from man's opinions. Because it was all the doctor's words. And it was like God's feathers were covering up, like, from all the lies that were coming. But it's been insane. Was that your first one, or was that just recently? No, that's a more recent one. Yeah. But I've done.
What was the first? What's the first one you ever did that somebody bought that you were like, oh gosh, I think maybe.
The first one I did was I broke apart a piano, and I was like, started to lay out. I started to see on the floor. I started to see stalks of wheat made out of piano parts, and like a cluster, like if you were holding a whole cluster of wheat and it's hanging out of your hand. And I saw it. I put it all together. And I was like, oh man, I wish I could make this like float off of the board, give it some depth and space. So I figured that out, reverse engineered it in my head, and I made it, put it on shiplap. It had kind of this like farmhouse kind of look. Yeah. And I made it, and then I posted it on the internet. I was like, look at this thing. And I called it The Sound of the Harvest. And I had a whole writing about it, about how every harvest has a sound to it. Yeah. And I put it up there, and then people like freaked out. And then this person from a whole other state bought it and drove down to get it. And I think that was my first moment where I was like, hang on, this might actually be like a thing.
Okay.
This might be something. And I had people messaging me, DMing me like, hey, I hope you know, like, this is for real. And then I made like a 6-foot waterfall out of drum cymbals that patinates more and more over time. I use sea salt and vinegar. And it's made, its backboard is made out of sand and seashells, but the whole waterfall is suspended and it granulates, and it's all made out of broken drum cymbals, and it gets more and more aqua over time. So like I released that one next, and then I had people messaging me, other artists messaging me like, hey,
can you make me something?
Because I was like, anybody want this? For a couple $100, like, and then I had no clue. And then artists were messaging me like, hey, I hope you know this is like legit. I hope you're charging the right number. I hope you're taking yourself serious.
How do you navigate that?
Oh, that was a whole funny, like I had to buy a book on that. Like,
you did.
how to price your art. And I start reaching out to people that are doing it. Like, how do you do this? So that was a whole learning curve.
Yeah,
and then that brings up a whole
from the YWAM boy.
Yeah,
you can have it for free.
Yeah, I did that. I did. The person that wanted to get the waterfall DM'd me. They're like, my wife wants this, and I said, oh, dude, because I love these people, I know them, and I was like, oh, dude, just take it. And he's the man. He was just like, oh no, we're gonna pay you for it, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. And he paid me something, but it started this. I'm very slow at the beginning, so I'm like, but it's also, I'm starting to realize
you've got such a pure heart in all of it that yeah, I mean that's my thing too, is just give it away. And sometimes you just kind of like, you have to hold on and figure this out. So I'm glad that you even stewarded that.
Yeah,
I think that's really good for people to hear, that you had to learn how to steward that.
Yeah, because
I think that's intellect from the Lord too. Like, learn how to steward what God's given you.
Yeah. Well, it made me reach a whole nother glass ceiling I didn't know about with self-worth. Because like I started making this stuff and I'm like, oh, just take it. And then people were being like, know your worth. Like, this is legit stuff. Know your value. And I'm like, okay. So that's been like a 2-year journey of like, okay, artists will know if they watch this, but it's like you post your artwork online and you're like, it's X amount of money, and you're like, you grit your teeth and then post it because you're going to get people like, what? And then you just are waiting for the right people that want it.
Now, are you at ease now to be like, what something's worth, or do you sometimes hear a number God gives you?
I have done that before. Here's the thing that I didn't say with the waterfall thing. I was like, I'll take it because this deserves to be told. It's a God story, because the guy that said he liked it, I had an inbox full, like a DMs were going with people that wanted it. And again, I was blown away. I was like, what is happening right now? And they wanted it. And then this guy was like, oh, my wife loves this. How much? And I was like, oh, because that guy about a year before, like, saved us, paid for 6 months of rent for our family. Oh, gosh. On a word of the Lord, had no clue that I was laying in bed at night.
The guy that wanted it.
Yeah. He had no clue back then that I was laying in bed crying at night, asking for God to get us out of this situation we were in. And I had all my family with me, had my wife under my arms, my kid around me, and I was crying at night, and we were freezing in this house. And I was like, God, get us out of here. Get us out of here. And that guy approached me a couple days later at church, sat down next to me. He's like, God told me to come up to you and ask me, what do you need? And then when he said that, I heard the Lord say, be honest, be honest. And I told him what we need. We need to get out of our house. And he was like, okay. So they paid for us to move out and gave us a new place and paid for 6 months, all of our expenses. So fast forward, he's in my DM along with all these other DMs. And he's like, my wife loves this. And I was just the easiest, fastest.
You can have it.
Oh, dude, take it. Like, this is beautiful. I get to give you something.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And he still paid me something for it because he's just the man. But I love that when I get to make somebody art, especially when it's prophetic, or I feel like it's a word of the Lord, unlike music, it's something they have to physically live with. So you make them a prophetic word that they see every day. They don't have to turn it on. They don't have to get a device and hit play. It's just living with them in their space. And as a reminder of the Father's heart for them and
Wow.
they have to live there. It lives there in that space.
Wow.
So yeah.
That's amazing. Have you gotten, what do you call it when it's on the tip of my tongue, when so commissioned? Have you gotten commissioned? Have you gotten a commission and it comes in where you're like, that person wants me to make them something? Like a hero of yours?
Yeah.
Where you're like, what? That made you kind of nervous in how you were going to do it?
Yeah. I mean, recently, like, cause hopefully they're okay with it. If not, you can take it out later. But I made one for Corey. Corey Asbury. And that was like, cause I had like crazy encounters with the Lord with his music. From his stuff from like IHOP days, right? Like all is for your glory is still goated. Yes. I will go toe to toe and be like, that's still one of the best songs. But anyways, and I know it's Laura Hackett too, but shout out Corey. Yeah. But anyways, Anna reached out and wanted me to.
Did she just randomly see your stuff?
She wrote for a magazine here in Franklin along with my wife. So they had met each other through that magazine. So I guess that's how. And then I have a piece at Philanthropy in downtown Franklin too, like in the window display. So like maybe she had.
What's your piece in Philanthropy?
It's a small wheat piece that's down in the window there.
Wow.
So so Anna reached out and wanted me to take a guitar that Corey had given her when they were teenagers and first started dating and turn it into something special for his birthday. And so that was a moment where I was at a coffee shop and I was like, oh, this is like for real. Okay. And I like, that was kind of a cool, a crazy moment. And there's a whole thing that went into it. There was like private just for them too. But I had started feeling something in my heart for him actually a couple of nights before. And I was like pacing my house, just ranting to my wife about something for Corey. He was on my heart. And then she was like, you should just tell him. I was like, I don't know him. Like, I don't even have his, like, I have his number. And then she was like, oh, just like, because we have a mutual friend. There's somebody, she was like, tell so-and-so. And then just because she was like, I feel like this might be for him. This is actually a word. And I was like, okay, I don't know. We'll see. And I never did. Well, 2 days later, his wife messages me like, can you make an art piece? So I got to put that entire piece and that entire word into a physical form that lives with them. It's like God was like, I see your heart. I'm going to make sure it gets to him and it's going to be in an art piece.
That's so good.
It's insane. That was a crazy moment.
So you've been doing this for the past 2 years.
Yeah.
And this is why I think having you kind of at the top of the year, because, it's a risk.
Yeah.
To jump off a cliff.
Yeah.
And into a pool of water and be like, I still could die here.
Yeah.
So, but I really feel like every time the year comes around for so many people, there's so many people that are at that place of what's next. I want to do something different. What is God saying? Can you just kind of walk us through, like, you saying, okay, it's not like you're putting the guitar down.
No, yeah. That'll always be.
I'll always
be singing.
But you were turning your attention toward this thing in your art that is a whole new road for you. How do you jump off the cliff? Man,
I think personality types have to be talked about too, because I think I'm a natural jump off the cliffer. Like that's my personality where I'm like, let's go for it. Because again, the finite nature of life, where I'm like, life's too short for anything less than everything. Yeah. Like, just give it all. Like, and so I'm like, and anything good is worth risking. Everything you got to risk to get to it. And I heard somebody say the other day, they were like, somebody say their worst case scenario is a lot of people's best case scenario. They said, if everything fails, I'll just get a 9-to-5 and work until I'm 70 years old. And they were like, that's my worst case. Like, so when you just make peace with that, you're like, okay, so now we'll just try anything. We'll just give it a shot. I don't know. You have to be.
There's still some bravery in there.
I know there's some bravery in there, but you only get better at trusting God by jumping.
Yeah.
I know that's like,
no,
it's not another devotional away. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, it's a scary jump. You don't know if like, it's like a kid jumping in the pool and dad's got his arms out in the shallow end.
Right.
It's like, you don't ever know how strong dad is until you jump towards him, you know?
Right.
You don't know if it's going to work until you jump. You don't like read another biography about dad,
Right.
you know? You just jump.
Wow.
You got to do it.
So
Yeah.
you did it.
I did it.
You're a weekend. You're a weekend.
I'm a weekend. But here's the crazy thing is I'm a weekend and I had a restaurant, you know, like Praise Report. I had a art curator from Canada reach out. Canada. Yeah. That's curating a restaurant and the art for a restaurant in downtown Nashville. And I have no clue how they found me. I don't have like a strong online presence, nothing. And they want a like 7 foot by 4 foot long piece representing the music history of Nashville.
Oh my
at this
gosh,
thing.
God,
So
what are you gonna do?
You tell me, it was a wild moment in the house when I got that email. It's like, it's happening.
Yeah.
It's really happening. Yeah. But I do feel like
I think my first thought is the wild roaming of your mind in that creative space.
Dude, embrace ADD.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, everybody fights
like,
it.
Because that's who you are. It's like all of the things that are going on, of the possibilities of what you could do.
Yeah.
I can't even wait to see what it is you end up coming up with.
Yeah. I joke with people all that time because they look at my art and they go, how did you think of this? And
yeah, it's wild. Some of your stuff is wild.
And I'm sorry to Kesa, my wife hates this answer, but I always say it's sanctified ADD.
Wow.
That's what I say. I say everybody tries to fight it. I lean hard into it. I treat it like it's a superpower.
Oh man.
You just lean in.
You should too. That's such a great word because there's so many people that tried to fight it.
Yeah, try to like fix it. I'm like, no, man. Just like give it to the Lord.
Especially if you've got a creative space to lean.
Yeah.
Like maybe the world could be changed.
Yeah.
If people did that. That's just wild. So how long will that kind of a job take you?
The restaurant?
Yeah.
I don't know. About here's the funny thing. It can't take any more than a couple months because we're going to Norway for months to help with the school there.
Wow.
So, yeah, a couple months. And then.
So are you like, let me find some violins to smash?
Oh, yeah.
Let me find some horns to take apart?
Instruments hate to see me coming. I'm the Grim Reaper for instruments.
Where do you find them all? Just Facebook?
Literally, yeah. Like people on Facebook, or people will donate them. Like this is not even that good of this is not that good of a guitar, or this is like an inexpensive thing. And they're like, I would love to see it become art. You know, some people get mad. You know, you get fun comments of people like, this is an atrocity. And I'm like, well, there's a lot of bigger problems in the world.
Right.
But, you know, I can't believe you do that. And then a lot of people were like, this is the dopest thing ever. Like, could you?
It is fascinating. Your art is fascinating. I didn't know what to expect because I've seen some people do stuff like that. In my office at Gateway, I had one of my, like, it was just a favorite shelf, but you know, the old pianos that have the thing that goes flip, flip.
Yeah.
Most of them have that, but the old ones are like flip, flip.
Yeah.
Well, I realized if I flipped it upside down and hung it to the wall, it actually acted like a shelf.
Oh, yeah.
So I had it on the wall in my office as a shelf, and I put all kind of little things in it, books and stuff like that in it.
Oh, that's a great idea.
And it was just fascinating. I don't even know. I think when I left it on the wall. But I've loved stuff like that, but I didn't know what to expect when I was looking at your stuff. And I was kind of riveted by how different, I mean, like, you've got like modern stuff in there, and you know, I mean, it really kind of is whatever somebody's, I guess, personality characteristics or likes are.
Yeah,
is you do have a fascinating eye for stuff. I was just kind of, you know, gaping open, being like, oh, that's what he does, which is what kind of excited me about. I got to get this kid on here to talk about this stuff because it's such a fascinating story, but it's such a creative take on do not suppress something that you know God's given you. Yeah. Because eventually he will bring it up. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. 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 No, that's very true. I get so excited right now at this stage of my life because I'm like, man, if I could show this to like 15-year-old Scott, this would be the sickest thing ever. Because I did this whole detour because I got saved and then I started leading worship because that was one of the semi-creative roles that would work for me in the church world for so long. And I had no clue that the Lord would let me do art again, like stuff. Bring it all back around and do it for his glory. So I don't feel like I'm wasting time. Like I'm like, it's all for the Lord. None of it's like wasted. And it's all like deeply personal with people. And or it gives people a tilt of the head and makes them curious about scripture. Yes. People come and like will spend time around creativity. Like when I'm making art and I'm in my studio and I got the garage doors open, I have multiple people stop by that I've never talked to.
So that's how you do it.
It's like a bonfire. People just come around while you're creating. It's like a bonfire. They just want to stand there and talk. And people that would never talk to you about God, about scripture, about anything like that will spend hours talking to you.
Like just your neighbors and stuff?
Neighbors and random people walking by that live like roads up or whatever. And they're just like, because they've seen me, and I've had people come in, stop on their bikes and say like, I'm sorry, I have to ask you, what are you making in here? What is this? And then I start telling them and they want to hang out and you become friends, and it's led to some incredible moments and conversations with people. But it is like a bonfire. People will come and spend time around creativity. So that's something that caught me off guard. I didn't expect that at all. Yeah.
Wow, that's so good. That is so good. How many pieces are you doing this year? Like, are you commissioned all year to do stuff?
I don't know. Prophesy, Rita. No, I am. No, I have commissions open. I have a couple right now. Yeah. A couple commissions like on the books, but I'm just now starting to run like marketing campaign and stuff. Be like, all right, because I'm hitting the gas. Like I'm going after this full time.
Yeah, because you have a website.
So, the website. Yep, up and going. All that infrastructure.
What's your website called? We'll make sure to.
scottcoates.org. Yeah, just my name.
That's it?
That's it.
You don't have some fancy...
Nope. Because for a minute there it was mixed. It was like my music, my art. It was like booking stuff.
Yeah.
It was like the craziest. Because last year I came out with a worship book too. So it's been a lot. Yeah. It's been like a renaissance. But I just felt more and more. It was just like clean it all up. Get laser focused. Go all in on this.
So that's part of the risk and the jump is
just
put it
fully
all
go
out
after
there.
it. Make it unmistakably clear.
Yeah.
To people who you are, what you're about. Stop trying to like pad it a little bit, like and apologize for it, and just make it like offensively clear. Like I'm here, I'm an artist for the kingdom. This is what I do.
Yeah.
What
are you gonna do in Norway?
We're helping lead a school for families going into missions. And it's in a crossroads school. It is actually on a farm. It's actually on a farm in Norway and about an hour outside of Oslo. Wow. But yeah, families come. It's like a crossroads school. So people that feel like they're at a crossroads. So at whatever stage they are in life, are like, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. I feel this thing in my life. That you come out here to the fjords of Norway with this farm and spend 3 months with us. And then 3 months in another nation. But it's like a 6-month kind of like Holy Spirit defibrillator paddles.
Are you going to be there for 3 months or 6?
Our family will only be there for about 6 weeks. Okay. So just helping, they want to establish like a culture of joy and worship and all this stuff. So we're helping get the ball rolling.
With that.
Yeah, and then we'll come back to Nashville.
And you take all the kids.
Yeah, we're taking all the kids. That was another thing. We didn't have like money for that. That's crazy expensive.
Yeah.
And then someone reached out to us a few days ago and said, we want to pay for everything for Norway.
Oh man, Scotty. That's the church.
Insane.
That's what makes me love the church.
It is the church.
When the church comes through like that, it's like, that's what this whole thing's about.
Big time.
Wow. And how old are your kids now?
11, 9, 7, and 6.
So you must homeschool these guys.
We homeschooled this year. We did a little bit of public school.
Yeah.
I'm say that because we got to take them right back out now. To go to Norway. But yeah, we've been homeschooling because they've just been all over the place. We had about a year there where we had no home. We just stayed in basement to basement, spare bedroom to spare bedroom.
How has that been for the kids? Do they look at it as an adventure?
All they know is they were like at worship nights with dad and aunties and uncles, because we had these worship leaders that are now with circuit riders and doing different things. So they had their aunties and uncles around them. and they were getting to play on these farms. They're getting to ride on tractors and like horses and cows, and
that's the life right there.
Yeah, and their kids just take their temperature from you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. They feel their stress from you. So it's like you really like lead the way. If you're like, this is awesome, God's moving, they're like, yeah, this is a good day. But if you look stressed, they're like, something's wrong. Something's wrong. Now,
any of them artistic?
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like they're all still pretty young. They're like 11. They're all pretty creative, and I think we all are.
When we're young.
When we're young, I think it gets trained out of us.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you think that's like parented? Yeah, either out or in us.
Yeah, some of it is nature versus nurture. It's but I think it does, because as we get older, we question if anything's profitable, and if it's not, we get rid of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? We got bills to pay.
Right.
And I get it. Oh. I think I'm just stubborn enough where I'm like, I don't know, life's so short. I'm made to do this. It's just going to happen no matter what. Wow. I got to do it.
That's crazy.
But yeah, my son, who's 9, he's a drummer, and he's awesome.
He's
great. Crushing it. Yeah. So there's like some musician, and they're all creative.
Your oldest is the girl.
Yeah.
Right? I remember seeing her when she was in
Harvest. Yeah, we got a picture. You're holding her, and she's like a tiny little baby. Brand new.
How, does she sing?
Yeah. A little bit. Yeah. They're all, that's what I'm saying.
Still different.
They're all interested, and they all will walk up to instruments and like dabble.
Yeah. What do they think about what you're doing in the garage?
I swear. They're like the sweetest kid. My kids are amazing. They're like the sweetest kids ever, because they'll just like come hang out, because it's not separate. It's all at the house, which the beauty of that is that they can just come out. The hard part is they can just come out and just like in the moment. So they can just walk out there, and I've got sawdust everywhere and clay and instruments and broken stuff everywhere. And they just, they're kicking through it, walking through it, talking to me about their day. And I'm trying not to act like stressed because stuff's moving. I'm like, okay. Well, let's not move that. But okay, tell me about your day. But it's like all they know. And then they're like, they're the sweetest kids, because they're like, great job, Dad. It's like leaving the garage. We're like,
because it's all
that looks really cool.
Them.
Yeah. All they know is Dad makes stuff. You know what I mean? It's just normal. It's all they've known.
Do you have like your stuff for sale any place?
This year I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm actually getting some galleries. Right now, I've just been doing online. And like word of mouth with like people get on there on my website.
ScottCoates.com?
.org. I have both.
Okay.
So if you mess up, you still got it right. ScottCoates.org. You get on there and they fill out a commission form, and then I start a conversation with you. And so it just depends completely on your story, on your space, what you want it for. Is this for your office? Is this for your living room? This has a different thing. Is it commercial? Is it residential? All that. But I do want to start getting into some galleries. And really, that's not even so much for like the building my little kingdom thing. It's like, it's for the 15-year-old Scott.
Yeah.
You're like, dude, you got artwork in a gallery, man. I do have, there's one gallery in Raleigh, North Carolina, where I have a 11-foot lion, 11-foot lion head on display. And like his whole mane is made out of 5 pianos.
I think I've seen that on there. Yeah, that
the teeth are organ pipes.
Yeah.
You can still blow on his teeth, and it still makes all the
notes. How did that
notes.
get there?
A friend of mine owns that. It's his tattoo studio and art shop. And so he had me come in as like a little featured artist.
That's hilarious.
And then just wanted to keep it up.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. Wow.
But it's a crazy thing. I'm making this stuff with no, like, I just made it because I thought it was cool. It's like, so this is awesome.
Pressure.
There's no pressure. But I'm like, it's such a funny thing, because people are like, who's going to put an 11-foot lion in their space? I'm like, I don't ever think about that. It'll limit me. If I start with like the realm of possibility, this is already dead. Like, you got to just try stuff.
Yeah. I hope people are listening to this and just so encouraged by the depth of creative like freedom. Like, I just think that there's something. There's some type of revival that's set in the soul of our creative expression. And when that gets out, it creates something, it creates a cloud in a different way that acts like a revival in a different way. And I just, I've been so focused too, and just trying to just keep touching on the church should not suppress the art. Like, you could go to Europe and walk in a church and just be blown away by the artistic creativity
it's insane.
of artists and artisans. And
Yeah.
so I don't understand why we're so afraid of it sometimes in the modern church.
Well, yeah, the church used to lead the way in creativity. You told me that.
Yes.
You told me that years ago.
Yeah.
Or you said it. It wasn't directly to me. It was years ago at like a little meeting. And I was just like, yeah. And I'm in, the middle of like feeling this in my guts.
Yes.
But just being a local church worship pastor, not having anywhere to place that feeling. And just being like, yes, that's what I'm saying.
Because there's so many of you young creatives, like you feel like there's something more, and the well is kind of tapped out with a lot of things that we do, especially in the worship realm. It's like this well that no longer has the water, but there's something in you that just longs for an outlet for what, and it's an unexplainable thing, I think, because we don't talk about it.
Yeah.
And so we can't find the words sometimes in our youth to say how we feel, because nobody else is talking about it. I think I've gone overboard. Maybe I've gone a little overboard with justice, just being like, we have no ceilings in this house. We have no ceilings in this house, so that he is unafraid to dream. He's unafraid to go outside the box and do what he wants to do. And there is part of that I'm grateful for that, because when he really does start to create, there won't be boundary lines in what he does. There'll be, you hope that you put in those moral lines and those guidelines of
limitations
integrity.
are good.
Limitations are wonderful.
Yeah.
But creative expression of even being able to, like you're saying, go to the Lord and be like, let the Lord help you, because he's the greatest artist there ever was.
Yeah.
So
he enjoys it.
Yeah, and he loves it.
He loves creating.
He loves songwriting.
Yeah.
He loves it when I tap in and say, I need something for this and I need something for this.
Yeah.
And I think my moments of fascination with and diving more deeply into it has to be because I found him in those where I'm like, oh, you like this?
Yeah.
You know what? And he's like, my gosh, I love this. I love this stuff.
Yeah. So, it makes me think with the limitation thing, I always, one of the reasons I love working with instruments so much is because you're so limited. Because the more limited you are, the more creativity is squeezed out of you. Yeah. When it's completely limitless. That's why I never resonated as much with painting, because I was like, I would do it and I'd be like, okay. And then you could do, it felt limitless. Yeah. In a sense. And then with instruments, it's like, there's only so much this drum cymbal is going to allow you to do. Yeah. So it forces you to go to the depths, to just caverns in your soul of you got to really dig deep to find something that wows you. And if it's dope to you, then you're going to hit an audience. If you try to make something that's cool to everybody, it's going to be not cool to anyone.
Yeah, that's so good.
If you I'm the toughest. For me to think it's sick, then I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Yeah. Then you're going to hit a target. That's
a lost language for people, that they've stopped trying to do what they feel is beautiful because they're trying to make beauty for the masses.
Yeah. And everything is 1 inch deep and 50 miles wide. You know what I mean? It's like everything is just sell it to the masses. I'd say to worship leaders, a lot of worship leaders get disheartened because they try to do the song in their service that they saw in a viral moment on social media, and it doesn't hit the way. But I say it's because we sell the kiss scene. And what I mean by that is if you watch Pride and Prejudice at the end, the kiss. Yeah. When he's walking towards her. That scene is so amazing.
That's sold.
It's so good, right? With the sun coming. I mean, it's incredible. The music. But that scene is so good because there's so much tension and life and misunderstandings and fighting. And there's so much behind that made you completely lean into that moment. Yeah. We do the same thing in worship, but we quickly get little snippets for social media and sell the kiss. And then young worship leaders become disheartened when their room didn't respond the way that room did in that viral moment. But you didn't have any of the setup to the kiss scene. You just saw the kiss scene. And so we don't have an understanding of
that's
history
so
and
good.
tension.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good. Wow. Build a history.
Yeah. Yeah.
Build a history. Okay, so closing out here, what do you want people to know most about what you're headed toward? Like,
yeah.
maybe most about like even maybe the first set of that to answer the question, what's the biggest benefit for you in believing for something new in this season?
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to say this before it could left my mind, because I felt like it was important for creatives. Because one of the things that caught me off guard earlier, I said when you're doing creative things, maybe it's like when you're creating with the Lord is really what I mean. More accurately, it's like a bonfire. And that caught me off guard, because being somebody whose my background is missions and like the send and like, let's go, there's 3 billion people that don't know his name. And I want to say to all the creatives that when you create with the Lord, you end up creating these burning bush moments. So like if you think about in Exodus, when Moses was walking, it says that he was on his path, and it was a worn path because it was his daily things. So he had to do just his daily tasks, and we're all doing our daily tasks, going to work, taking the kids to practice, doing all these things. Yeah. When an artist is creating and being who they're meant to be, they create a burning bush moment that is what I call path pullers. So it pulls people off their path. Moses walked off of his path to walk towards the burning bush.
Yeah.
And in that moment, they have their encounter with God, and they hear God through that burning bush moment. But your job is just to burn. But I tell people that all the time, because I'm like, when you create with the Lord, that's what was happening. I was creating, and there's a fire in that. To you, this feels like normal and familiar. You're just cooking. You're cooking. You're just creating. But the world, what I want to say to creatives is, the world is waiting on kingdom creatives to fully be who they are and fully hit the gas, because they're looking to come in close. Whereas the church used to lead the way with creativity and building cathedrals and Sistine Chapel. Yeah. And the world came in to gawk and look around, and they still do. And they pay tickets and stuff to look around, because the church used to, Bach, all these things where he used to write for the church, like all these things used to lead the way. I think we're back at that moment where there's a direct correlation between the greatest harvest the world has ever seen and the arts and creativity. It doesn't make sense immediately, but what I'm saying, hopefully what I'm saying is resonating with at least one person listening, where I'm like, you need to fully be who you are and create with the Lord and burn and watch the world come in close to meet God. And there's no pressure on you. You're actually just being who you were meant to be, which is real humility, is being exactly who you're supposed to be. That's actual humility.
Wow. So good. That's so good, Scotty. Thanks so much. Just wanted to make
that clear.
No, that's actually a beautiful place to end.
Yeah.
It's just, wow. Yeah. I'm going to be chewing on that for a bit. Thanks so much for coming over.
Are you kidding me? Thank you. This is awesome.
Scott Coates, not Scotty?
Not Scotty.
Oh, man.
That's only for the people that know me. So good job.
ScottCoates.org or ScottCoates.com. If you want to commission a piece, go look at what Scotty is doing. It's fascinating. If you even are out there and you have you're in, it didn't really matter what state.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Got old.
If it's big and heavy, Nashville. But other than that, doesn't matter.
Can they DM you are you just Scott Coates on Instagram?
Scott Coates Art.
Scott Coates Art. Okay. On Instagram, DM him if you've got a piano you just want to let him torch.
Or old family heirloom you want to see transformed into an art piece.
Absolutely. That's so great. Thanks so much, Scotty. Appreciate it.
Thank you.